Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the March 10, 2020 Board of Selectmen's meeting. Could I have a roll call, please?
All 5 selectmen are present.
All right, 5 selectmen. Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Semple, how about you?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Announcements, Alan.
Okay, first off, we seem to be having frequently announcements asking for a moment of silence. Julio Roderick from the VFW, his wife Juliet passed away last week. Very active in the VFW for a long time, and I asked for a moment of silence for the Roderick family.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we have the chili contest at the Stone Path Malt Factory on this coming Saturday at 5:30. It's a event for the OBA. It's a fundraiser for the fireworks. As of right now, as far as I can tell, it's still on. I don't think anybody's canceled yet. And the Wareham Historical Society on March 16th at 495 Main Street at the Methodist Meeting Hall is doing a show and tell. It's an invitation to the public, and it's basically the public is invited to a show and tell.
There it
And
is.
it's basically to bring an item from your own collection that you treasure and share your story of how and why it is connected to your family's history. And that's all I've got today.
Okay, Jim?
I'm good.
Peter?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, Mary, anything in the...
Yes, Earth Day 2020, New Bedford celebrating 50 years of Earth Day. Join us to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, Pier 3, New Bedford Harbor, 3:30 to 8 p.m. Festivities at the pier include music, food, earth-friendly shopping, displays, art activities. And at 5:30, they're going to have a march for climate action from the pier to City Hall. So you can register for free tickets and more information online at www.earthday2020newbedford.org.
Okay, citizens' participation. Come on down, Claire. Hello.
Hello. I actually have 2 things. First of all, I would just like to remind people that Howie and I will be going to Wareham, England, and we would like to bring greetings from the residents of Wareham. So there is a book at the library at the front desk, and we are hopeful that people will take advantage and go in and sign it and send their best wishes and greetings to the residents of Wareham, England, and we'll be bringing that over. Secondly, there's been a lot of discussion going around on the Mass Moderators Association about upcoming town meetings. And given that the governor has declared an emergency, I think we need to start thinking about what we want to do with our town meeting. Because it's been legally posted, we cannot cancel it. But there are 2 remedies that we can move forward with if we decide that we're not going to have it. Back when we had the hurricane, we passed legislation that if the governor declared an emergency, the moderator could reach out to our town officials and, with their permission, move to recess the meeting from home by phone, and I would have 3 days to come up with an alternative date. The second thing that we could do, and this is what actually happened before we had the legislation, the town clerk and myself can meet at 7 o'clock at the required time. The town clerk can make a motion to recess to a date and time specific. So I think, within the next week or so, we may want to have some discussions about what we want to do, if anything, whether we want to hold off, for a few more weeks just to see where things are going, but something we should definitely keep in the back of our mind, because if we're not going to invite the public to come, we need to give them ample notice that they should not show up. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. But there, we have 2 ways that we can recess the meeting and continue it to another date.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Board comments. Alan, you're up.
Two things. One, as we all know, the coronavirus is starting to wreak havoc with a lot of different things. In the last 6 hours, I've had 3 major meetings canceled. Everybody knows the city of Boston is virtually shutting down everything. The governor announced a couple hours ago that he was closing a lot of different things down. I have basically the Mass Municipal Association has announced this afternoon, that for the next 3 to 4 weeks, they're shutting down all meetings going into Boston, etc. I have a meeting on Thursday, which is going to be done by phone only, and this is just going to continue going on. I think the real issue on this particular virus, which is a version of a flu, is that it attacks people's lungs in particular, and I think that's why it's such concern. I did a little work today trying to figure out what was happening, because the Board of Health did not come out with anything today. They postponed until tomorrow on this, and it seems as though basically what happens is the virus gets into your throat, and what it happens is it just simply, by gravity, whatever you want to say, gets into your lungs that way. So what they're recommending, which is not a cure per se, is that you get water and hydrate yourself every 15 to 25 minutes constantly. And what that does is, which sounds kind of strange, but it works, is the virus, if it gets into your throat, will then go into your stomach. And of course, our stomach acid kills anything in this world. And it sounds a little crazy, but they're actually recommending it. Because what happens is this virus gets into the lungs, and it causes the lungs to go fibrous, which means the lungs no longer are able to actually take the oxygen and convert it over to your bloodstream. And that's the problem. And especially in the older population, which a lot of people have breathing issues to start with, it makes it that much worse. That's why the death rate is so much higher. So I would advise to buy some water before it all disappears off the shelf, and keep yourself hydrated. The other piece that came up, and Peter knows about it as well as I do, Organobrands. We were really looking forward to them coming into the town. This past year, they had actually supported a couple different events for the town, a nonprofit, quite well, and we're very unhappy to see them not be able to go through there. But at the same time, I believe was a local, I think it was a radio station or whatever, WSBK or whatever, put out a thing that said that the Cannabis Control Commission was a problem for Organobrands getting the license. I just want to correct the information. I really would like to see when organizations put something out there, they look at both sides of the story and make sure it's correct. The Cannabis Control Commission basically admits they have issues with, because they're so far behind and everything else, but they don't like to be chastised for something that's not their fault. In the Organobrands, there was an issue with their application, and it was reopened in October by the Cannabis Control Commission, and it was reopened because there was things they needed to have. And basically, Organobrands resubmitted with the same exact application as the original. They never submitted what they needed, and the state kept asking them, and it never happened. So with the idea that the Cannabis Control Commission caused the issue, is not the case. It's the other way around. Thank you.
Jim? I'm good. Peter?
Yeah, just a couple of things further with regard to the Organobrand issue. Of course, one of their major products was the manufacturing of vape pens and cartridges. And of course, when you had the public health issue over the vape, and how there were the findings that adding vitamin E acetate, which apparently is a thinner that allows the material to more readily go through the pen, was linked to all this. The ban wasn't permanent, but I think the sort of the perceptual damage to consuming marijuana in that fashion was done, and to some extent it may also have been a bit of a business decision by them that in this state it wasn't the right time, and that they couldn't achieve the sort of growth that they were looking to do. The second thing was I'd like to thank people who showed up last week for the primary election in Massachusetts. I had asked the town clerk, because I know it's a big election and they're busy. I had said to her the day before, hey, if you need me for anything, let me know. Well, she pressed me into emergency service as a poll worker. It was okay for her to do that because no town offices were on the ballot, so it didn't have anything to do with the town directly. There was just the presidential primaries for the 4 parties that had ballots. And then on 2, you had the town Democratic and then the town Republican committees, but those are independent from the town government, so there was no issue with working there. But for the board's attention, spending several hours in that East Wareham Fire Station, that place is not going to be adequate for the presidential election, because I expect a massive turnout for that. The last time we had a presidential election, there was 79%, and I don't see anything happening in Washington that says it's even going to be that low this time around. You know, people have formed very strong opinions, and they will turn out to vote. So I think we need to start working with the clerk as soon as we can to find it, because we decide where the precinct is, but, you know, we should get her in here, I think, Mr. Chairman, at some point, and talk with her about that, because that place is really inadequate. The parking there is tough. It's on a curve. The warden down there actually asked Chief Walczek when he came in to see how things were going, if when it got dark out, he could leave a cruiser with the lights flashing just beforehand so people would slow down, because getting in and out of there is a challenge. And then, of course, it started pouring rain. So, you know, anybody coming late to vote after dinner had to go through that as well. So it's a tough location.
I think we're going to have the same issue with the Hammond School, because it's a combination of, you know, the three in particular, which is our biggest precinct.
Yeah, I think
Parking
there's,
is tough at Hammond, even though we have a couple open areas. It's, you know, if you get a turnout of 70 to 80%, that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah. You know, 30% down there was busy, and they have about maybe 8 or 10 usable parking spaces at that fire station. And they, you know, from the times I peeked out the door, they were pretty full a good chunk of the time.
yeah.
And I wasn't there during the peak hours.
I think there's some confusion. This was a temporary location for these little elections, and then the plan is the clerk's moving it to town
Right.
hall because there's plenty of room. So I don't think we need to make a big deal out of this. It's,
No, just,
Well, no, but I think
We have
people,
to move it and change it, so.
yeah, we have to
Yeah.
move it and change it. And the other thing, too, is anybody who voted down there at Precinct 6,
Yeah.
if they,
Clerk's purview?
yeah, the clerk would bring that forward.
yeah,
And-
it'd be the clerk.
we actually set the polling places.
We
Yeah,
do.
but she's the one that requests for you guys to.
Well, we can do it if there's a request or even if there isn't one.
Yeah, 'cause
But we're the
I-
ones who have to set them.
Yeah, because I think there was, the Wareham Fire took some heat for this, and that's one of the things. It's like, relax, folks. It's a temporary location. I understand it's not the best place, but it's one day out of the year, maybe two, actually, if you depending on which calendar year you're using it. I appreciate the Chief Rowley letting us use that, giving us the ability, going after him and complaining. I mean, I've got to tell you, I was a little appalled by it. It's one day a year. They were doing us a benefit. And, you know, we got the people really went at Wareham Fire, and it's not their fault. They were doing something nice for us.
Well, it's basically an abandoned fire station, so they don't maintain it. Why would they? They don't put their resources into something they don't use. It's no different than a town building we don't use anymore. There's going to be cobwebs when you walk in those, too, so.
Originally an out-of-district building. Anybody, yes, Alan?
No,
No, you're all set?
just giving you the wave.
All right, next, Mary, you all set?
I'm good.
Okay. Appointments, reappointments and interviews. I believe there's an appointment.
Yes, we do. We have Mr. Semple here.
Come on down, Mr. Semple, and grab the microphone, and gotta talk close to it to give us your name and, you know, where you're from and all that.
Hi, my name's Richard Semple. I live on 194 Hathaway Street. I'm a carpenter in town. I have a registered business in town, and I'm applying for the ZBA.
Okay, and why do you want to serve on the ZBA?
I want to get my feet in a little wet in the town politics, and I was explained that this would be a good start for me.
Okay. Alan, questions?
When you say you're a carpenter, do you pull permits and stuff from the building department?
No, I just do carpentry work, you know, just general repair, things like that. But I have been in situations where the homeowners or whatnot that have gone to the zoning board and wanted things like that done. So they've gone through and done most of that.
Okay, thank you.
Jim?
Have you been to 3 of their meetings, and have you been interviewed by the board?
But no, I have not.
Thank you.
Okay. Peter?
No, I don't have any questions.
Mary?
No.
Okay, is there anything else you want to tell us? No?
Just
Okay.
looking forward to,
Anybody have anything they want to say? Go ahead.
I don't have an issue per se, but, we're really falling outside of the process that we normally do. And I know that the ZBA is losing 3 members, or has lost 3 members.
Real problem.
And there is a problem because if someone has applied for something and filed, Ken's here, he can explain it if he
You
wants
have to have a supermajority.
Yeah, well, not only that is you have a time frame. Once someone files and it gets on the agenda, you only have so many days, and
It's
if you don't act,
presumptively granted if you don't
Yeah.
rule,
yeah, it's basically approved by, time frame, whether you like it or not.
Constructive approval.
But my only concern is that we're putting people on
5
that
days, right?
haven't been through the
There is.
process.
I thought it was there.
right. And,
Yeah.
Todd, like,
Go ahead, Jim.
so, one of these recommendations is that applicants attend three meetings of the prospective boards, that they be interviewed or introduce themselves to the board. At present, we have 3 interested parties that their applications all came in yesterday. And I would like to see the people who are interested take some initiative and go to the meetings, introduce themselves, talk with the members. We also have, as Alan indicated, 1 person who has resigned, 2 that we really need to have discussion with and to see where they stand. And I think another week would give us a better opportunity to know where those individuals stand, if they want to be on the board and participate or not, and possibly make 2 appointments and give everybody a fair shot at it. Thank you.
Okay.
Don't they meet tomorrow night?
Yes.
Really do.
All right, I think that's fair.
Well, the only problem with that is that whatever cases are coming in front of them tomorrow
Will be a problem.
will be a problem,
They've
because
been-
they'll only have 4 members to
They've
sit
been
on.
doing that for a few weeks.
Yeah, but
so-
that's not a good thing, it's a bad thing.
And
It's a very bad thing for them not to have 5 members
I had,
sitting. And we need at
Texted
least
you.
2.
with the, about the other person, if they were gonna come in, if you were gonna invite them here, you said yes, and they did not get invited. So, I think in all fairness, we should wait 1 more week and, then make our decision next Tuesday.
Whatever cases they have coming in front of them tomorrow night, will have 4 members sitting on those cases, which means they have to get 100%. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or they,
So that causes a problem for them.
only if, well, yeah, if someone doesn't agree,
Well, I'll be honest with you, if I were in that situation representing a client before a ZBA, they only had 4 people, I'd ask for a continuance on the basis that they couldn't, and of course, I tell my clients, sorry, it's costing you more time and money,
You'd
but
have
this is
to
what we gotta
withdraw.
do.
You'd have to withdraw.
I don't believe you have to withdraw.
Yeah, you'd have to withdraw, is that correct? Because once they come in and they assign and give you a continuation, you can't add somebody to the case, right?
No, you can't add somebody to the case, that's quite correct.
Correct.
Our schedule is that tomorrow night we'll be having a section available for interviewing proposed members of the Board of Appeals. Our next big public hearing process is going to be April 8th. So what we
If you're
want
April
to
8th, then that's fine.
we want it by then, and that'll be sufficient to meet our requirements for.
Okay, all right, well, if that's the case, then that's fine.
So just to make sure, you have no issue with just having the 4 members for the meeting tomorrow?
I don't,
That's all I need
Is
to
there
know.
any cases that will start tomorrow night?
no.
No, so then there's not an issue.
Let's put it off for a week, please.
Yeah, we'll put it off for a week.
Thank you.
So we listened to what you had to say, and then we have 2 more. We're going to appoint a couple, so we'll let you know next week, okay?
That's good.
All right?
so so I should go to the meeting tomorrow night?
I would
I
go
would,
there.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go there tomorrow night, introduce yourself, go through that thing with them, okay?
Who knows, you may go there and say, I don't wanna do this. It's possible.
That's awesome.
We need
So,
to
at least you'll
Not
have
gonna
a
know,
sense.
not gonna know until you go.
members.
I
Exactly.
mean, I've been to
And I hear
meetings
somebody
before.
else
I've
might
seen
be
how they
leaving
work.
too, so.
One person left.
Thank you.
All set?
Jan Kendrick already left.
Thank you very much.
So that's fine, as long as it's not gonna cause a problem for a case, I have no problem with them waiting. But if it was gonna cause a problem for a case, then I'd be worried. All right, because you don't want somebody to have to withdraw and then refile and all that, because that's just not,
Expensive also.
that's a real bad thing. All right, so we did that. Licenses and permits, do we have any licenses and
We
permits?
don't have anything.
Okay,
no.
good. Town business, request to place signs on town property for the Church of the Good Shepherd. Must be for their,
Yes, I move that we approve the application to put signs around town. They've checked off all their places here, all their paperwork is complete.
Second.
motion made by Mary, seconded by Peter. Any discussion? Yes, Alan?
I'd just like to thank them very much for going ahead and doing this for, quite a few years. Stuff would get, put out, nobody would ever do anything, and the Good Shepherd and some of the others are actually following the rules, which makes it easy for us when we have people who don't follow the rules. So again, thank you.
The other nice thing they do is they host the drop-in center.
Yeah, they do a
They
bunch
have
of
been,
stuff.
and they really helped get it going and get it started, and it's really great that, and they're gonna make it work. I mean, they just do. So it's awesome.
We're good.
Okay, so motion made by Mary, seconded by Peter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Thank you. Discussion and possible vote on Stone Path malt liquor issues. Come on down, sir. So why don't,
I think the first thing we should say is there's no issue with their license.
no, there is no issue with their license.
Good evening, Mark St. Jean, Stone Path Malt.
Right, so now tell
11
us
Kendrick Road.
what you have in mind and what you want us to do.
Yeah, so let me just read you the current law that most breweries in Massachusetts fall under. In fact, when I was applying for my liquor license, I spent probably a good month talking to the ABCC why I don't fall under the farmer's brewer's license. So just really quick, and I'll hand this out after.
Well, do you actually brew anything?
We don't brew,
Yeah, see, that's
But-
why you're kind of on the outs.
but we're producing the malt
I know.
where the brewers brew.
Yeah.
All of the beer that's
It's
served.
government, they're technical, a little word
It's
means
very
everything.
technical, but the point is the goal of the farmer's brewer's license, and this is to quote, is to promote the development and use of local ingredients by requiring the brewery itself to grow or buy a percentage of the ingredients used in the manufacturing or blending process from farms located in Massachusetts. That is antiquated. There are no farms in Massachusetts that can grow barley. In fact, you can go to talk to Bill Russell down in Westport. He tries to grow wheat and barley every year, and by August, it's burned. So, but as part of this license, the brewers have the ability to sell their beer on premises in their tap room, similar to our tap room. And they also have the ability to sell beer off premise, which is anything from growlers or cans. So, and I've talked to Peter and Susan Gifford about this, we are in fact promoting and actually closer to the farmer. While we're not working with farmers right now in Massachusetts, we are working with farmers in New England to promote New England farming and taking their grains and malting them in our malt house at 11 Kendrick, selling that to brewers, in turn buying back their beer. In essence, our ingredients, every beer that's served in Stone Path Malt is brewed with our ingredients. So what we're trying to do, where this law is a little antiquated as far as the farmer's brewer's license, what we'd like to do is have the ability to also sell off premises, where we have 8 taps in the tap room. Any given time, we can sell cans. We're not doing growlers or Crowlers, which is a big can, would like the ability to do that, which we are in the gray area as far as the law is concerned. So this is, from what I understand, this will have to go up. Susan Gifford would have to promote it and get it approved and voted at the legislature.
Yeah, we'd probably have to put it on the town meeting.
Yeah, it has to, the process would be a town meeting warrant article to authorize the Board of Selectmen to submit a petition. Now, in your case, your license you're operating under now for the tap room was a legislative creation by special act. So what, I think procedurally, what you would want to do is something to amend the existing license to add the ability to sell packaged goods made with your malt. And,
Yes.
you know, it's important to make that distinction so that you can't just sell any packaged goods.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're doing. You don't get a tap in our tap room without using our brewing with our malt.
Alan?
The, on the farmer's brewer's license, is that through the Department of Agriculture?
ABCC, from what I
So
understand.
it's a piece of that? So they're basically going to have to, we can submit something. It's going to end up being probably an internal.
Yeah, it'll end up being an internal thing between the ABCC and the legislature, and they'll have to see if they want to argue it out.
Yeah.
We'll send it up, what the heck? I
We'll
mean,
try.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
see what
So
happens.
from my standpoint, we get a lot of different people coming in to our facility with a lot of different ideas. And this is one of the ideas that we've contemplated for a little while, and it just gives us the ability to, we're continuously trying to get people to come off the highway to Stone Path Malt. And this is one of those things that if we promote it properly and market it properly, that people can come in. There's a huge backup on the bridge. Our business is so unique that we can pull them off the highway, come in, they can grab a couple of cases of beer before they go on vacation, and it's a way to kind of get people into town, hopefully, and it's also a way to promote our customers' beer using our malts. So that's kind of the process that we've come to, and it'd be great if we can do it. A lot of people have asked. People come in all the time. Are you pouring growlers, or do you have cans? And we can't do that now. So.
Okay, thank you. Why don't we make a motion to put it on the special, and I'll have Peter work on writing the language, okay?
So made.
Second.
Motion made by Alan, seconded by Mary.
We had some discussion here, I didn't get to.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
How many different beers do you serve there?
We have 8 taps,
8 taps, so 8 different beers?
8 different beers. We're now serving up to 78 breweries. We are supplying 78 breweries,
Right, but you have 8 taps, you're selling 8 beers,
yes.
8 different beers.
They rotate, probably.
It changes all the time.
Okay, so you have 78 different beers?
We
that
have
you
78 different brewers that we're supplying to.
So how many different beers do you
Up to 78.
rotate through?
Up to 78.
Well, it's not necessarily, not every brewer in New England has the ability to distribute in mass.
Yeah.
Do any of the local package stores carry these brewers' merchandise?
Yes, some of them do. Yep.
Like locally, right around the area there?
Jack's Abbey is our largest customer. They produce 60,000 barrels, so you can find Jack's Abbey beer in just about
But every package-
any one of the package stores.
What about some of the other brewers?
Bentwater, Wachusett is probably,
Massachusetts, they're pretty common.
yeah, Wachusett's
So
a
they
big,
sell these in local package stores also?
yeah, they can.
Okay.
We have the ability to get other beers through our customers, like they do collaborations with different brewers. So using our malt, so we have the ability to bring that in the tap room and offer something different that isn't necessarily offered in the local package stores.
These are all farmer brewers, less than 5,000.
No, they're under the farmer's brewer's license, but depending on how many barrels will determine what your fee
Right.
is. So they're all under the farmer's brewer's license. But,
From a large producers.
yeah, I mean, we have, you know, like I said, Jack's Abbey is our largest customer. We started with them when they were 15,000 barrels. They're now 60,000 barrels. We're in almost every one of their beers. And then we service Harper's Lane out of Middleborough.
Yeah.
He comes in and picks up maybe 3 bags every week or every 2 weeks. So that's the range of the size of our
You know,
breweries.
I can see, especially for the smaller producers, having the opportunity to buy their goods at your facility. But some of the larger ones, if they can be picked up at local package stores, liquor stores, I think that's where they probably should be purchased, so.
So I think, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, if I can comment on that. I understand what you're thinking, sort of, call it the Wachusett Blueberry or something, but the mainstream actual brews may not be what, I don't think you have their most generic, sort of mainstream
Yeah,
one.
for us, we try and offer something in the tap room that you can't get off the shelf every day at one of the local package stores. So that happens, I mean, look, at any time you can come in a tap room, Jack's Abbey, we their Pilsner beer, you can basically get anywhere. What we're seeing is that people are in the tap room, they try this beer, and they say, oh, I'd like to buy this. And we'd like the opportunity to sell it to them right there at a point of sale. So, but as a
Package store, I mean, just for beer, just for malt, like a malt license to sell malt, a malted,
Malted products.
right?
Yeah, because I think if it's,
So, I'd like to see it focused on the smaller production batches and not, general production for people who buy from your, it's like
Yeah,
you're getting into the liquor store or the package store business.
yeah,
And if you keep it small scale with small production batches, I don't have a problem with it.
I don't look at it that way. How we look at it is that we have 8 taps, and we promote those brewers when those 8 taps are on. So those are the beers we're actually going to serve off-premise. So those eight beers are on, we buy kegs through distributors, and we'll also buy the cans of those breweries at the same time. So if you have a beer in the tap room, you come in, whether it's a Jack's Abbey or whether it's a Harper's Lane, if you like it, you can grab a 6-pack or a 12-pack or a case on the way out. So those beers that are gonna be served as an off-premise basis are going to change all the time as well. And they're going to correlate with what we're serving in the tap room.
Be a separate business,
I haven't decided,
retail business too.
I haven't decided that yet. In fact, I'm thinking
That's
about,
what I've seen. It's like you have your tap rooms, and you go out and you go to, the coolers if you want to buy something, and you purchase it, and
yeah, right now, the tap room is part of Stone Path Malt LLC,
Right.
which is the whole umbrella of our company. I'm actually contemplating, once I get through some of these other permit issues that we're dealing with, that we're gonna pull this tap room into a separate LLC in and of itself. Is probably,
Go ahead, Alan.
I think this is probably going to not be our decision as far as this piece of it.
It is.
I think what's going to happen is the state's going to have to make a decision, and they're going to set the parameters just like we did with cannabis and other stuff. So I think it's easiest if we just bring it up, support it, and just see what happens, see how it comes back to us.
Totally
We
agree.
can't write the law.
Right. All right, so motion made and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous.
It's on the special.
500, it's on the special.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
What's the date for that?
It's the same as the annual, which is
27th?
27th, I think. Is it
Okay.
27th, Claire?
Yeah.
I don't know, it's April.
27th.
Yeah.
Do we have the
27th.
No, we have
April.
to get right an article.
Assuming it goes forward, as we heard
So
also.
close.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Oh,
Thanks, Mark, appreciate it.
All
Thanks,
right,
Mark.
now, next up is the continued discussion of trash disposal. Anything you need to bring us up on that, Jim, or are we all set?
Well, I
The
spoke with
warrant article.
Huh?
Mr.
We need a
Sullivan
warrant article?
today,
Yeah.
and he's gonna bring up he'll be bringing up a warrant article. Oh, he has it, so please, Mr. Sullivan.
This is actually the most updated draft of the special, and sort of the first crack at this, and I'm going to run it through town council, who is home convalescing, but not with the big thing.
He hasn't got the corona?
No. So, last page, Article 11, solid waste and recycling revolving account. I added recycling to there just because that's part of it, so I don't want to exclude that. So this would actually be amending Town Bylaw Division 1, Article 6, Section 4, revolving funds. I need to get that selection out of there by deleting the table and just inserting the following table. And I think we'll probably need to put the language into the existing table so that there's no confusion. I think it would make sense to us, but yeah. Then you see the revolving fund, solid waste and recycling, authorizing to spend the fund is the town administrator and municipal maintenance director. I think that'd be a municipal maintenance function. Revenue source, beginning July 1, 2019, all fees and revenue generated from solid waste, recycling, and hazardous waste programs. I'm trying to do a catch-all, especially in the future. If we do a hazardous waste day and you sell people a sticker for that day or something, you should be able to put that into the fund. It's just trying to be a catch-all. Use of fund costs associated with solid waste and recycling, including but not limited to operational and disposal costs. The not limited to accounting may have an issue, but again, just because we're 100% certain, and
We're
we got
establishing a fund
right.
at this point in time, which probably would become an enterprise fund later, because $500,000 would not cover the operation
Right.
in the course of a year. Part of it would be paid for by the disposal fee, and I would assume that's gonna be in the same fund.
It would all be in the same fund. It'd be from
And
this.
part of it's gonna be an operational cost, which would probably be under the $500,000 limit.
Oh.
And I know we've discussed it, and Mr. Sullivan said that would start this and then probably move towards an enterprise fund. And this would give us some cash to move forward with as we enter negotiations to possibly take over the Rochester convenience facility and continue to provide the waste, the transfer facility offerings to the residents of the town. And I believe we can do it for, a reasonable cost, cheaper than curbside pickup, and especially for families of 3 and less. And if you look at the tonnage, about half of they're almost equal for curbside and transfer station use. So a number of homes use the transfer station in town. We're the biggest user of the 3 towns.
And right now, this, if you will, this revolving account is, I hate to use the word nebulous enough to capture whichever way we go. I know which way we're leaning, and we believe, but
It's
this,
open-ended, I think is the word you
yeah,
would.
yes, open-ended.
Open-ended is good.
I'll strike nebulous and insert
All right,
open-ended.
so you want us to put that on the warrants?
Yeah, when we get to the, but that would serve the,
Well,
if we want to vote on it now, fine.
We can, it's on the thing, so we'll vote on it right now.
Move to put on?
Okay, moved by Peter to put Article 11 on the special town meeting.
Second.
Seconded by Alan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Okay, so consider that one on. All right, now, let's go back to our list. I want to do, huh?
Let's get Ken out of here.
Yeah, I want to get Ken out of here. Can you come down, Ken, so we can discuss your article issue here? This came up the last time around, and it's kind of a two-parter that you gave us. The first one is to accept the maps.
It's a map amendment, yes.
Yeah. The second one is lengthy. And it looks to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but it looks to me like you can't rebuild your house if it gets knocked down, if you're in the velocity zone.
No, that's not the case in the amended version.
You had an amended version? There's an amended version?
Yes, that's the one that was submitted.
Let me see that, Mary. Can I just
Sorry.
quickly? So it's difficult reading, to say the least.
Unfortunately, zoning can be tough.
Yeah, well, and this, and I've read plenty of it over the years, but this is definitely, yeah, see, there's a bunch of cross-outs and stuff in here now. 100-year flood.
That was one of the previous sections of the bylaw, said you could not construct within the V-zone. But the
Right.
building code allows construction within the V-zone.
Right, well, that's what I was concerned about, because, look, if somebody's house gets knocked down, as long as they move it up above the floodplain, I want them to be able to rebuild it. I don't want to stop them.
And that's what they can do under the
Okay, I
building
don't
code.
mind them going up to the, it's too bad it's 17.3 feet now, that's kind of crazy, but whatever it is. They have to go up to the new height, and then they can rebuild the house. I just want to make sure that we're not stopping them from rebuilding their houses.
That's right, we're not stopping them from rebuilding their houses.
Okay? I'm just, that's what I wanted to know. Anybody else have questions?
Well, yeah, I do.
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
What it also, the previous bylaw also said you cannot build in a velocity zone, new construction, correct?
Correct.
So sometimes you have to have rules that keep people from making poor choices.
Decisions.
Well,
And,
the-
just let me finish here. And the bylaw, as it's written now, says anything greater than 50% of the value, not of the cost to replace, of the value of the structure. So you could replace well, I don't know about going up 17 feet. That's a pretty big cost when you have to do all that structural stuff. But what it says is 50% of the value of the home. So I have concerns about just saying, okay, anybody who wants to build in a velocity zone, as long as you go up whatever the height is plus the 2 feet, you can do it. I don't think you should be building in velocity zones in certain critical areas. That's my opinion. And people put a house in a pond if you let them.
well, I understand the new construction, and I don't have a problem with not allowing new construction, but people who have houses there, I'm not willing to take their houses away.
I agree with that.
I'm just not willing to do that. And that's the thing. And I don't care if it's 50% of the value or the total house is wiped out, they should be able to build that house back. And I want to make sure that that's going to happen, for me.
And that's what the building code allows.
Okay, as long as it is allowed, that's not what it read in the original one.
Not in the original.
Okay, I'm
zoning.
just saying, because it said,
What's it say about new construction in velocity zones? Does it allow it
can't-
under the building code?
Yes, it does.
See, that's where I have my concern.
Well, but
We
this,
already have.
but
we
this
already have a
doesn't
bylaw
allow it,
that
right?
Supersedes that.
but this doesn't allow it in new construction and velocity zones.
Is it the way that it's being
The
presented?
way it is now, it does allow new construction in the V zone.
It does allow it?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were putting that restriction in. See, there was a couple of variations, so it makes
Say,
it
Ed, are we
difficult.
talking about the existing law or what he's proposing?
We're talking about what they're proposing. So that's all that matters, because that's what we're putting on, so.
The existing regulation says that within the zones A, E, that all new construction and substantial improvements, the cost of which is equal to or exceeds 50% of the market value of the structure of residential and non-residential structures, including the placement of manufactured mobile homes, shall have the lowest floor, including basement, elevated to or above the floodplain elevation, the base flood elevation.
Right.
That includes manufactured homes?
Yep.
That's good.
It'd be funny seeing a manufactured home up there, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm just thinking about the onset mobile
I was
home
gonna say,
park.
onset, that's 6 feet high.
Yeah.
And that's the section that the state floodplain manager said is not in conformance with the building code and had to be stricken.
Which,
That first one I just read.
that we can't, they're saying that we can't have a zoning bylaw that does not allow new construction in a velocity zone? We have bylaws that don't allow, say you have to have certain lot sizes. We have bylaws that say you have to be so far from water courses. So it's just,
But that said, he was talking about a 50% of the value, so that,
But I'm all right with reconstruction.
okay.
I
But he-
don't
well,
wanna
that's what I
see-
mean.
I don't want to see,
I agree with you.
okay, so that.
We're
so
on
that
the same
needs to be-
boat.
That kind of needs to be,
I agree with you 100%. It's just that what he was saying there, the thing that he just talked about was the 50%. He didn't talk about new construction at all. What's it say for new construction?
What you're referring to is the existing section 421.1
Yeah,
within zones A, AE, AO, and VE, the V zone.
that's
No
velocity.
new construction or other land development shall be permitted unless it is demonstrated that the cumulative effect of the proposed development, when combined with all other existing and anticipated development, will not increase the water surface elevation of the base flood more than 1 foot at any point within the town. So it does allow, the existing regulation does allow construction in the V zone of new construction.
And the new one would not.
what's 420? The new language does, correct?
That's the old language I was
What
reading.
about 420, what's that say?
This is 420.
You said 421.
421.1.
So let's put it this way, can we limit it, can we have it that if your house gets blown down, you get to rebuild it? They're very simple, I'll cut it down to very simple. If it gets blown down, you get to rebuild it as long as you meet the FEMA requirements, right? But if you want to build in a velocity zone, a new construction, none. Can that be done?
That can be done.
So that's the way I think I'd like to see it. I don't know about you guys, but that's how I'd like to see it. Because I don't see anybody, look, the people that are already built and already had their houses and do whatever, you can't blame them for buying a house and doing a house when they did. You know what I mean? You can't blame them for that. It is what it is. But you can say, well, you know what? It doesn't make any sense to build a new house in those areas because they're too prone to damage. And that makes perfect sense. That I get.
And that would be a recommended action to take as a town.
That would be my recommended action. Does anybody else agree with that?
That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Does anybody have anything else to say? Alan, what do you think? Throw up here.
It's pretty straightforward that, with all the losses that we've had along the coastal with the different hurricane storms and everything else, that, we have the basic law that says when you have a place that was built and it gets damaged, destroyed, it's 50% of the assessed value at the town, not including land or anything. When you hit that trigger of, more than 50%, they have to comply completely with the FEMA rules, or else the town of Wareham can get fined $30,000 to $40,000.
Right, it's got to go up in the air, we get that.
Among
yeah.
other things, so therefore, we don't want to be there. We've already had that issue couple times it's happened to us. But as far as, promoting people to go ahead and build on areas like that from scratch is really not a good thing.
Not a good thing at all.
Because we all pay for it at the end.
Of course. It's absurd to do it that way, to allow people to build in a velocity zone in this day and age. Doesn't make sense.
Well, you're not going to get approval from conservation anyway, so it doesn't even matter, to be honest with you.
Well,
I
but
mean,
we
you can
could put it-
you can zone one thing, but then you got to go get conservation to sign off, and it's just,
We can put
it's
it right in the
toast.
bylaw here. You can add
Well,
that to the bylaw.
there's some velocity zones
We could,
that,
Okay, so
Yeah.
why don't we
Some are different
send you
than
back to the
others.
drawing board? And we'll put it in next time.
And I support the map changes.
Well, just to make it clear, there are actually no map changes. These are letters of map change that actually don't change the map. What they do is they change how insurance is applied to the properties that
Right.
have
It's
been
actually going to
identified.
save people money.
Right. People have said, my building is outside of the floodplain, it doesn't
Yes.
meet that elevation.
Correct.
So I should be able to get a better deal on insurance. And that's what this map change does. It makes it official that that's the case in those
Right.
properties.
It's actually, we asked you to do that, if I remember right.
That's
When
right.
you came in here some month ago or so. We
That's right.
talked about this.
be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, well, no, that was a good thing, though. That's a good thing. It's gonna save people insurance money. But we still, I think, we still have to get to the point where we don't allow people to build new houses in a velocity zone. That should be a no-no,
All right,
okay?
I hear you.
Everybody agree?
Just one thing as a sidebar. Mr. Buckland has a job which keeps increasing on a daily
Yeah, he
basis.
sure does.
Of the workload. I'm concerned that we're getting to a point where he's overloaded, which you very rarely hear me complain about. It's usually the other way around. And the bottom line is that I'm probably in his office, leaving off stuff or emailing 3 to 4 times a week of new grants, new programs, et cetera.
So if you can stop him from,
Well, if you stop doing that,
Get it,
that'll give you plenty of time. We can take care of that.
Oh, you solved your own
Katie
problem.
by the door.
Oh, boy, that was,
Well, as I said, I'm putting my foot in it simply, but,
you knew that was coming.
oh, I know that.
Solutions just present themselves.
Yes, they do. But the bottom line is that because of the situation we're in and things that are going on and positions that some of us have, we're able to bring forth grants and different programs, for projects, like the dams and some other stuff we have.
Culverts
and-
just came in today, right?
Yeah, and the problem is that, for the grant writing and everything else required, it's a lot of work, and these things have to be done exactly right or else you lose. And we're in a prime position to take advantage of a lot of these things. And I think I spoke to Ken today, or I think maybe yesterday, and the comment was, geez, I hope things don't fall between the cracks. I have so much to do. And it's not his fault, but the problem is, and the town administrator won't be happy with me, but I think they need some kind of more help or some graduate student interns, not regular college students, but graduate.
Student interns have been they can be nice, but they've been some of the worst things that ended up taking more of the time of the staff.
I'm saying graduate school kids that are in the programs from Suffolk and some of the others that they've been trained, but
Say Bridgewater State, so Jim's happy.
Well, no, I mean, sometimes you get some great interns.
Yeah.
And
And sometimes you
have
don't.
some that, a lot of problems, and it's
either way, the bottom line is we're going to need more help there because, if you go on the wall inside his office there's a chalkboard in the back and it's completely full, and I don't care what anyone says, it's physically impossible to do that job at this point.
Are you suggesting that we hire maybe, Mr. Sullivan could look to find some
That's
room, wiggle
exactly
room
what he's
to,
saying.
maybe get an assistant in the office there for him?
The simple answer is, who do you want me to fire unless we can get some other organization to help pay it?
Maybe you.
That's some days.
All right, anyway, so
Take that deal.
if you could do that, that would be awesome, and maybe you could get it to us so that we could put it on before the warrant closes,
all right.
okay?
It's up to you to lobby the town administrator now.
If you can't, you're gonna have to
No,
wait till
it's
next
not.
time
It's up to
around.
the Board of
We could always
Selectmen to
pass
give me the
first part,
guidance as to where they want to take the money from to pay for it.
And you could hold off to the
Not a
second part
problem.
for next meeting in
I'll sit
October,
down with you.
if you
Yeah.
wanted to.
Find something fine.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
So you can decide what you want to do,
So
okay?
it's, remember, it's
sounds
the
great.
guidance from the
Thank you.
board. on
Leave it
the
in your
budget.
capable hands.
No, I
Appreciate
understand what you're saying.
All right. All right, could Ms. Whiteside come down, please?
We also have this in here for the department articles.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to those.
Okay.
We'll do articles in a few
Yeah,
minutes.
Judy's a little lame, so let's get her out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
She looks
giving her
tired.
trouble again.
She does. She's sore. She's got a bad hip.
Yeah, she looks tired today.
I did my good deed for the day.
Now, I know you put this article in, and I think I totally understand that if you eliminate that, it just becomes Derek's appointments.
Money by not being able to do it.
Yes.
And if you could explain that, which I understand, but there seems to be some confusion, so.
Okay. When the position of collector became an appointed one in the years 2001 through 2004, through several different town meetings and iterations, okay, the appointment, it became an appointed position, and Derek made the appointment, or the town administrator made the appointment. The language in 4-5 was created when the idea of taking it from elected to appointed arose, to make sure that the transition was smooth and that nobody lost out on anything. So what we are recommending is getting rid of language that doesn't need to be there.
That's why she's such a good teacher.
Right, because
that?
he's just,
Oh, it's so
it's just an automatic appointment of his, and that's it, just like
That's
all the
right.
rest of them.
Right.
Okay, does
It was
anybody
belt
have
and
any
suspenders.
questions for Judy?
It was belt and suspenders.
Jim?
Yes,
Okay.
I understand what you're saying, but also along with that, this is under other appointments by the town administrator, correct?
Yes.
It also has minimal requirements for the job positions. And I think it's very important to have those in writing and not be changeable by administrative areas within the town, which would be human resources, which right now we've created the job description of a minimal qualification. We could do the same with a clerk's position for other appointed positions. I want to thank Mr. Sullivan. They did a good job, I think a great job on having a committee for a most recent hire of a director level. I think I'd like to see that. Also, I think he refers to these positions, which I'm saying, which would be other positions appointed as like super directors, or is that what you termed it, a super?
I've called there. We basically, while people talk about not siloing, we siloed some to try and bring everybody together, from the finance under the finance director, from planning community development, from the municipal maintenance director, and things are sort of the super department heads, if you will.
And I think it's important to have job descriptions for these positions, which are really not, you can't change without the proper permission or authority of, I would say, the chief elected board or the chief executive board in the town. Those are very important positions, and I think the selectmen are elected to exercise some authority in those areas, especially in those positions. And we're going to move the town, we are looking to move the town clerk to an appointed position. I'd be more comfortable with it if the selectmen had input on that and the job description was kind of spelled out in part of the charter. That's what I would like to see.
May I?
One.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The charter, in the Charter Review Committee's viewpoint, is a document that describes the bones of the government. The town administrator makes all of the appointments, with one or two exceptions, and the Board of Selectmen has the right to crush those appointments within a 15-day period.
Correct.
So the selectmen already have that authority. If the town administrator were appointing people who were not qualified, then he wouldn't be sitting here. And to have the charter spell out job descriptions, in my opinion, would be a mistake, because jobs change, and responsibilities change, and laws change. And as those things change, the person holding a position needs to be able to get educated in them or grow with them. So I understand your comment, and I guess it's a concern, but I believe it's already covered in the structure of our government by this board having the right of croaking one of his appointments.
I understand what you're saying. I think on these upper-level administrative appointments in the town, we should have a little more input into them and be able to review top candidates. We get to see basically the appointed candidate, and again, we're responsible. As the town administrator is responsible to us, we're responsible to the people of the town. And in the end, we're held accountable.
Mr. Chairman, if I might,
You'd have to
one of
rewrite
the
the charter for that to happen.
one of the things I think that's sort of failing, not necessarily failing, but it's not looked at as a 180. The other reason for these types of things and having that under the town administrator bring forward is stop the political pressure from the Board of Selectmen to hire specific people, bring them along the way. That may be, and that was one of the decisions from the residents at the time, was they wanted a professional administrator to get the politics out of these hires.
Do you think that a town administrator couldn't appoint on a political position and not from a professional perspective? You're saying that a town administrator is
More immune.
above that,
Is above, what do you mean, from the,
from appointing from a political or a friend or someone who knows someone?
I would say so.
I'm
I
guessing,
mean,
Yeah.
it can go both ways. I mean, I worked at an institution, Bridgewater State University, for
Yeah.
years, so I saw a lot that went on. So it can happen, and I'm not trying to take away the town administrator's right to make appointments. I just think it should be more inclusive, and that certain key positions, we want to move, or there's going to be a recommendation to move for the clerk's position, I think it should be it should be spelled out on minimal qualifications for that position before appointment. And that's all I got to say.
Just a couple of aspects with regard to that. One is there's some protection for everybody involved in the fact that if you want to reorganize departments, which is where you're going to find your biggest changes in roles and functions and so on and so forth, that has to be approved by town meeting. That's in the charter, that if you want to combine or separate or play around with departments, create new ones, that's all got to go through town meeting. And, with that in mind, every time there has been a reorganization in recent times, the town administrator has been the one putting it forward, and he's articulated to the town meeting body why he wants to create, for example, a Department of Natural Resources. And, sort of implicit in that is describing the roles, how the roles of the existing sort of functions that are going to be combined into this new super function are going to be handled. So he does deal with that. The other issue with regarding the issue of putting criteria into the charter is eventually when these people are hired, they become union employees for the most part. I mean, we have an appointed town administrator, we have an appointed assistant town administrator, we have an appointed police chief. Everybody else works pursuant to a collective bargaining agreement. So before you could go back and start putting charter things in there to describe roles, you'd have to do an in-depth look, for example, at the existing collective bargaining agreements
I don't have a problem with that.
and pick that out of there. I'm not saying you couldn't do it. I'm just saying that this is part of the background you would have to work with. And if we're going to extend the Charter Review Committee past where they currently are for their appointments, which I'm guessing, maybe it'll work out that way, that would be something to bring forward if you're looking to almost reestablish a sort of personnel plan within the charter, because that almost sounds like what you're looking towards.
And again, it's just at the key positions within the town. And any, beyond that, it's the town administrator.
Go ahead,
Wait till
Alan.
Jim starts.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm good.
I understand where Jim worked and stuff. If you look at the history of the state college system, et cetera, you'll see the head of every school is a political appointee. It's someone who's retired, et cetera. And it's happened. I think Fred Clark, who is probably pretty close to non-political, but Fred was also a House representative. I know Fred very well. But we've had, but we have the Bulgers, model. Just, it's common. But in this particular case here, the way this is set up, we have a human resources director, which we lobbied Derek for I don't know how many years when he first started for that. And the human resources director really sets the precedent for setting the job specifications, et cetera. And then, of course, the union gets involved with it. For us to sit there and get involved with this, I think it's out of our sphere. I mean, we have the right when something gets hired, if there's an issue, we have that 15 days. We do get the information, ahead of time. And I just don't see it being a child thing, because a job is a constantly evolving product. And what may be good today, in 3 years changes because of as an example, the clerk, the open meeting law and all the stuff that you have to do for record keeping now has changed drastically in the last 4 years. Every time you turn around, the state's rewriting the rules. So you can't say this is the job someone's going to do. I don't disagree I know what Jim's complaining about is that we don't see it, but I think it's incumbent upon us to reach out more and say when something's happening, we know someone's going to be hired. We know a job's coming up. Derek has just sent us a notice on the Council of Aging for the director. We have that 2 weeks time frame to sit there and look at it. But I don't think, I don't want to micromanage, and I don't want to go and have the town administrator have to come back to us when he wants to hire someone to go through the whole thing. I'm not comfortable with it. Let's leave it at that.
Okay, interesting enough. When Joe Murphy was leaving, we hired another town administrator. And we put together a description of the job description. And one of the things was we put in there that it had to have, he had to have town administrator experience. What was in the description, we had put it in there.
Or equivalent.
Or equivalent, but basically, town,
Right.
and what ended up happening is we hired a totally bad town administrator because we followed that criteria. Derek probably would have not got hired if we had followed that criteria because he didn't have town administrator experience. And I'd say we were aces to come up with Derek. And it was because we were more flexible than rigid that we were able to bring Derek on board, and it was not a mistake. It was, this has done wonders for this town that we haven't seen in a long time. So I think flexibility is fine, and I trust Derek to hire good people. And I've seen him fire them when they didn't work.
Can I, how many town administrators have you, since you've been on the board, how many have you had here in the town?
How many have I been through?
Yeah.
That I can think of, let's see, 1, 2, 3,
That's you.
4, 5, at least 5.
So we're very fortunate at this point in time. I get along very well with Derek, we work well together. I'm looking for, Derek might not always be here. So, maybe someone will want to pay him like $500,000 a year, and he'll say, geez, you guys, I love you, but I gotta go. I gotta think of my family.
No, he wouldn't do
And
that.
so, anyway,
Oh, we can
So
worry
He'd
about
never
And I'm
do
not
that.
trying
He'd
to
say,
take anything
I'm
away
in
from
it
him."
for the local buck. What do they call it when they do that?
Your hometown
Hometown
discount.
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 I'm looking more of, that one's already existing, looking to micromanage the job description, basically minimal qualifications as you're coming in, and experiences. And Derek, he worked for the town, and I think he was appointed on an interim basis, weren't you?
I was interim,
Did
yeah.
you get
He
the
was, yeah.
experience where you were on an interim basis?
I
before you were
did.
appointed as a
Yeah, you got it.
permanent basis? So you had experience as a town administrator then, right?
How long did you have interim? What were you an interim for?
Was it
Jeez,
3 or 4 months, and then it
3 or
was,
4 months.
yeah, I
then it
think I
was
did.
a year?
Started August
Year and a half.
2012.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I'm done debating this.
Okay.
We're gonna vote the way we wanna vote.
My goodness.
All right. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion to put on the warrant.
Second.
Motion made by Peter, seconded by Mary. She beat you, Ellen, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's fine.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining? Okay, so you're gonna be opposed or abstain? Opposed. Okay, so it's 4-1-0. Okay, thank
Do you
you.
have any other questions of me of the other 3 articles that have been presented?
No, we've already done those. They're all on already. Everything's good. You're good to go. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, and may I, my committee, to a man and woman, would like to have the appointments extended through the October town meeting. We will have a report for the spring town meeting as required,
Okay.
but we're not done.
Yeah, I knew that, and we'll talk about it. We'll put it on the agenda at some point.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
Can you guys extend the appointments, or does that have to go through town meeting?
No, we can extend
You
it.
can extend it.
Yeah.
We appoint the committee,
Yeah,
and we set the dates, et cetera.
Okay, so,
yeah, not a problem.
all right.
All right.
I didn't want to miss the opportunity.
All right, so now, all right, so let's go back to the special, because it says annual here, but the annual is closed, so there's nothing going on that.
Yeah, we're still on the special.
Yeah, let's go through them and let's get them all on here, and can we, some
I
of them
think,
may
yeah,
be,
and I think there might be, I know the sewer commissioners have sent one, I just don't know if it made it to, it hasn't made it to this version
did.
you've got in there, okay.
all right, so let's get these on, and we'll go from there, okay? And you got one
Which
there,
one do you
too,
want your
right? What do you got?
checklist? This is, well, we
Water
have two.
pollution control, it's
This is
right
water
here.
pollution
Okay.
control, and then we have one from the harbor services permits in the,
Harbor permit
That's
reserved
under-
for appropriation account, I think that's on here.
that's under department
Yeah.
articles.
Harbor service, it's already here, number 7, okay? What's it say on there, 8?
It
Yeah.
doesn't have a number.
Two, didn't he?
Oh, it doesn't have a number, okay, good.
They started, this has just started the number, I've
Okay.
been working with Cassie on it.
All right, so Peter, you want to run these down for me, please?
Yeah, first one, Article 1, budget transfers. Is there anything you'd like to say to that?
You bills the
Eric?
prior
Yeah,
years.
this is this is, a lot of times what we do is if something's trending in the wrong way, or we've had a couple extra hits, these are the transfers that we're allowed. We also are allowed through municipal relief to do it at year end, just through the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee. And they lifted a lot of those limits through the Municipal Modernization Act, but we still try and do it through town meeting as a more, to let the
Okay.
residents know. So for example, if healthcare was trending in the wrong way or something.
Yeah, right.
So that's why this is usually a placeholder.
Ooh, the P word, once again. Rears its ugly head.
All right, so I need a motion to put it on the warrant.
Move to put on the warrant.
Motion by Peter, seconded by
Alan?
Alan. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, it's unanimous. Next,
It's a fund parking program. This is pretty much an annual article. at
Annual
this point.
article.
Yeah, this is the annual article. We need to do one change. Oh, no, it has it in there. And onset projects, because the 3 projects outside of the parking program that we're looking to bring forward is the, next to the bandstand, the little comfort station there. That needs a lot of work, so.
You talking on top of the hill?
Yeah.
I was looking at that the other day.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. It needs roof, siding, everything.
A master of understatement. It needs a little bit of work.
motion to put it on,
Yeah.
please.
So moved.
So moved by Mary, seconded by Alan. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Okay, spring 2020 capital.
Yeah, what's the update on that?
Capital planning met this week. They voted on some of the items that we're proposing, but that will be brought forward a little bit later. We are bringing in some more people, but just so you know, one of the items is front end loader. It's replacing one that's I believe it's the 15-year-old one that we have to get rid of. That has 12,000 hours on it. We're looking for 2 school buses. And go down the whole list, but this is all
You can do
from,
that next week.
yeah, this is all
Let's
from the
just
free
put it
cash
on there.
transfers.
Motion to put it
So
on,
moved.
please. Motion made by Peter, seconded by Alan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous.
Transfer of
Transfer
funds.
available funds.
Yeah, that'll be, we're looking to seek another, on this, there's usually a couple items, but the first one's 25,000 to continue the summer youth job program. This is one of the few items that we use from free cash that isn't purely capital, and I think it's usually a good use of it. That gets us about 2 years of the program.
Is that what it's for?
So moved.
What's that?
Is that what it's for?
The 25,000 for the summer youth job program? Yeah, but there's something else I have in the back of my mind here.
Motion
It's
made-
not quite baked yet.
Motion made by Peter, seconded by Alan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's on. PEG access receipts to
Yep.
Wareham TV.
This is an every 6-month thing under the Municipal Modernization Act. We have to approve the funding for
A
them, so.
motion made by Peter, seconded by Alan. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Article 6, accept gift for land from Paul Volpe.
Move to put on.
Okay,
Second.
motion made by Peter, seconded by
everyone.
Alan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Next, Article 7,
Move to put on.
made by Peter, seconded by Alan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Article 8, I believe we already put this on, but let's do it again. We'll reaffirm these votes. Why don't you just kind of run them down and we'll do them all, is
All
there
right, move
anybody
to
who has
put
any
on.
questions of any of these? No,
Any
right?
question on 9?
All right, move to put on,
Question on 9?
No, do you have a question
Well,
on
9, we just put it on.
we've got a numbering issue here, I think,
Is that
because we go from 7 to 8 to 7 to 8 again.
Yeah.
Nine.
Yeah, so this is just the draft right here.
Just a
So
draft.
move to put on the remaining articles as presented.
Motion made to put the remaining articles on as presented. Any discussion? Seconded by Alan. All in favor, say aye.
Ask a quick question
Yeah.
on Article 8.
Which one?
Which eight?
Which eight?
There's 2 of them, there's 2 Article 8s.
Then it,
Oh, nice, the second one.
Transfer of unused balances from
Right.
previous town
Were
meeting.
any of those funds taken out as loans or bonds?
no, you can't transfer borrowing items. If you,
Right, so this is just funds that they have.
Correct.
And I'm assuming there will be no need for those funds in the building that they were originally proposed for. That's a big assumption.
usually, they were a bunch of different projects, if you go down the whole list.
One was a PA system, one was a
Right.
roof, one was.
So they've closed out those.
Good, if you say that they weren't bonded or this,
Yeah,
that, I'm
correct.
fine.
Yeah, so any of them that weren't bonded,
Do those
They were
afterwards.
bonded.
so
These-
that's,
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah, neither one of them are in.
yeah, because I think, yeah, the,
it's okay, they have funds.
So this one's in there, isn't it?
No, it's a different, it's a different.
Jim, usually the town accountant works on them as well, going through and just double checking the balance.
Okay.
The town accountant works with them, double checking the
Okay,
balances.
all in favor,
and
say
stuff,
aye.
so.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, it's unanimous. Now we have 2 more. One coming from Harbor Service fees for $24,000 some odd dollars.
Right, they're looking for lease payment for 2 vehicles previously approved at the 2017 Fall Town Meeting, and an anticipation note in the amount of $2,615. So that's going to be an additional article. So it's another Harbor Services Permit Receipts Reserved for Appropriations Account article, so it's another request from the Harbor Master.
Motion made by Peter, seconded by Alan. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. And the last one is the sewer one.
They're in.
Right, this is the Water Pollution Control Facility funding request.
Is that okay with you, where that money's coming from?
Yeah, they're using all retained
that,
earnings. They've got the ability to do that.
Okay,
so.
as long as you're all right with it, okay.
Yeah. This is to fund the projects that were presented to us
Yep,
by the Sewer Commission and the engineer.
okay.
A couple of
Motion
weeks
made by
ago.
Peter,
Yep.
seconded by Al.
What are they?
The denitrification.
Denitrification.
Denitrification, groundwater discharge evaluation, and rehab of manholes and gravity mains
Over in,
at C Street.
Finer?
Yeah. Mirror Cove at C Street, yep.
And for the
Right.
amount of,
The total amount is $3,175,000 from Water Pollution Control
It's
Facility
coming from
retained earnings.
So, no,
no,
it's-
that's all right, just.
Yeah, no, but that, it's, what, 2 million for the D nights, almost $1 million
Other
for
Yeah,
C2.
Surprised at the cost for the manhole work and the work on the mains. I don't know.
yeah, it's also the mains, though, at
Right.
Mirror Cove. So that was $1,060,000, $115,000 for groundwater discharge evaluation, and $2 million for the denitrification.
It is,
Fine with
the cost is,
made by Peter, seconded by
Scary, the
Alan.
cost.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous.
So
All
they
right.
are on.
Do we have the annual there that we haven't, the ones we haven't voted on? Thank you.
What are these recommendations?
Yeah, we hadn't voted on these, I want to get these out of the way if we have anything on them. What we have left, Derek, and this is up to you, capital planning, the budget, the EMS budget, the Upper Cape money, that's already in, right?
yeah, you should have that in,
You
so.
know where they are yet?
I've got it right in the budget, so
Okay.
what we presented is what they're
Want to do it
doing.
next week?
Yeah, we can do
Okay,
that.
good. Because I'd like to get the rest of them done.
And I can see
finish it
Bob
off.
already came in from the finance committee, so maybe we can just get his booklet or something. I don't,
Okay, that's fine, whatever, just so we can get it out of the way next week.
yeah.
All right, I want to just get it finished out. All right, so next, is any other town business not reasonably anticipated last 48 hours? Anybody? No.
No.
Okay, next up, town administrators report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We
If
haven't
you
had you
remember,
enough
we,
tonight.
we did the article for the health insurance for the spouse of
Argentinas.
yeah, Christopher Argentinas, I guess slain police officer. Looks like we will have to take one more action. I've asked for the language. We just need the Board of Selectmen to vote to petition the legislature.
Okay,
So I've asked if there's any specific language that they need. So
Okay.
that's one of them. You start going over the coronavirus, the declaration of state of emergency by Governor Baker. A lot of it has to do with procurement for some of this, for supplies and services, and bringing in and giving extra powers. So it's something we need to consider. I've already seen from other communities, and Barnstable County just instituted a travel ban for their employees and things like that. So we may see some of these coming forward. We've had department head meeting with the Board of Health about continuity of operations. We're looking at what operations our employees can do from a home base. One of the things we're asking residents, and I understand there's a small fee attached, if at all possible, if you're paying bills and such, there are, specifically if you can pay them online. Also, the company that we're using, which is City Hall Solutions, they'll take as many call-ins. So if you want to call and pay via phone on there, it's right on the website, but we'll put it out there again. One of the things is just try and keep this sounds very bad, but human contact down, if you will. And that's, for there's some stories out there, the virus can last for days on cash money. So they're saying, so we're now bringing some having staff wearing gloves, certain things, bringing in, we found a purveyor of hand sanitizing stations of pure, they're greater than 62%. We're putting extra soap into bathrooms. This week we have a cleaning company coming through specifically for this building and the COA, with them being most at risk, doing deep cleans and going through town hall as well. We also have municipal maintenance doing at least daily wipes, but that only goes so far. You wipe it and clean it now, and somebody touches that with impacted, it undoes it. I'll be seeking from the board and the finance committee, most likely about $25,000 to $30,000 from the reserve fund transfer, just to put it out there for some of these costs, because the cleanings we're talking about, and this is just one time, can run you close to $3,000. on it. It's, we do need, some of them, but it could be and can be a little bit of overkill, but we can't not do anything, if that makes sense.
Are we gonna do this now, or is it gonna be on an ongoing basis, these deep cleanings?
The deep clean's the initial one. We've received a couple quotes for different things, such as fogging rooms at the end of the day and stuff, but I can tell, we can't we can't do that every day. It's not feasible. But the goal is to start with the big sort of deep clean and reach a lot of the surfaces and stuff, and then go through do all the doorknobs, things that are being touched. We're also putting the wipes in each department and educating. And again, it's everything that's being stressed is wash your hands with with soap for a proper amount of time. So what is it? Sing happy birthday, create your own coronavirus song. I don't know, whatever you want to do, but it's, we are taking it seriously. What you were speaking about earlier, the Department of Public Health canceled their call today, but most likely it was due to the announcement of Governor Baker doing the emergency, because they wanted to have the answers to the questions. So there's a little bit of, feeding frenzy on this, but it should be concerned. Probably our first step, and we're reaching out to the COA and talking, that would be if we were to stop any sort of programming, it would be the ones most at risk, which are the seniors. But what we'd like to do is then start as sort of more of an outreach if we're not having them inside. So
Children too, right?
yeah, the children, I know that the Board of Health, Mr. Ethier had spoken to the superintendent. We had a meeting about class trips and such, and I can realize how difficult that is for some families that save for these, or it's such a big part, once in a lifetime type opportunities. But you just can't. It's a safety issue, and it's not. Look, I said at the beginning of the meeting, I wasn't trying to be snarky. Wareham's not going to solve this crisis, but what we are going to do is try and follow guidelines and make it as safe as possible for everyone.
Okay, thank you. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. Liaison reports.
Oh, do you want to? We sent that out on the COA director. Do you want to? I know it's.
Vote to ratify.
Yeah, we can do it under your report. I was going to put it
Yeah.
on the agenda next week and do it, but we can do it under your report if you like.
If there's no issue with it.
Move to ratify the appointment of the COA director.
Motion made by Peter to ratify the new COA director. Is there a second? Alan. Any discussion?
No, I just.
All in favor, say aye.
Excuse me. I said, I have.
You
a
said no.
question.
Oh, you said but it sounded like no.
So,
Sounded like no.
do we announce who we appoint, or do we wait until
You do it either way.
you tender the offer and they accept it?
We-
So they'll know then, and then we can announce.
We start the process. I'll announce it officially later because we want to give them the opportunity to
Okay, I'm
take
good.
care of
That's-
things
I
on
just
their
wanted
end
that.
as well. So.
Any other discussion? Go ahead, Alan.
As soon as everything's in place, we'll get them working on the age-friendly community. They'll love me.
That was brought up during the meeting by Chairman Frank.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, so.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. Okay, great. All right, now we go to liaison reports. Alan?
You sure? Okay, really, I'll do this as quick as I can. You're taking a break, huh?
I did that last week to you.
That's okay. I'm used to it.
Each time I came back, it was perfect timing.
Carver, we had a Mass Municipal Association breakfast for selectmen, et cetera. I participated in that as well. And just a few interesting things. We have House Bill 2115. I sent the information to the police, I think through Chief Walczak, there is a bill that's moving through for grants for fire and police stations, which is a very opportune time for us. So we'll watch that to see what's happening. Ken knows about it also. Yeah, charter schools, unfortunately, the relief for that won't come any earlier than January 2021. The CPA program will be getting more money due to the increase of registry deed fees. Plastic ban bill is kind of messy. There is a bill, Senate 2388, for mattress recycling. Also a House Bill 796 for paint recycling. And another House Bill 750 for packaging. Packaging means that stuff that has to be disposed of easier. There's an S10 climate infrastructure bill. We'll raise MVP funding, which we've been working very diligently trying to get grants for that as well. New Greenworks opportunities are coming. And the other part was Thursday, I was up at the State House with the House and Senators lobbying on the transportation bill, which was a revenue bill and a bond bill. On the revenue side, of course, everybody's already seen the gas tax increase. I don't believe I believe the governor's probably going to reject it, but I think they've got enough votes to override him, but just, so you know what it is. Basically, it was voted by a party.
It's
The
good
Democrats,
timing, though. See, it's good timing because fuel's gonna drop right now. The prices are gonna go way down.
but the bottom line is that, they'll overrule it, and I think the vote was like all the Democrats voted yes and all the Republicans voted no. It was just right down party lines.
Oh, yeah.
It's just tough because it's still all going to the MBTA.
A portion, they were going to raise $500 to $600 million, including this TCI program, but the actual gas tax revenue was going to be about $200 million, and I believe $100 million was going to go for the MBTA on that piece, and $100 million to the cities and towns.
60%, but.
Yeah, but the bottom line to all of this is that was a really interesting surprise while we were on the floor. On the bond bill, they increased the Chapter 90 funds to finally $300 million, and it went through.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but there's the $100 million from the gas tax.
That's exactly right.
So it's worth $375,000 to the town.
So now they have to
Give us
Well-
the money.
pass the gas.
And we're gonna lose that?
No, if we will gain 370, we get about 750 or 775 in Chapter 90 funds. So, but it looks like
75,000, well, that'll do what? 15 feet in one of our roads?
It can be used for so many things.
They're doing a
Yeah.
mile and a half out there
I
for
was
18
surprised.
million,
frankly, from my
19
thought
million.
would be,
19.
whatever.
yeah,
So-
I mean, it's just depending if it's an overlay, if you're doing other things, but the MS4, it would definitely help us out with that.
Yeah. And there was actually, while we were on the floor, there's one of the representatives actually suggested and had an amendment. There's like 400 amendments going all through this at the same time for $400 million, but that obviously did not make it through. So we'll see what we got there. And the nicest piece was on Wednesday, the governor was talking about South Coast Rail, et cetera, projects, and he happened to mention that part of the project was basically the train coming down to Buzzards Bay in that actual announcement and everything. So I'm trying to find out whether it's locked in or not, so that's a possibility. And that's all I've got.
Wow, your timing is impeccable.
Always.
You did just what I did last week, poor guy. James, you're up next.
I had the Affordable Housing Trust meeting this morning, and some people came in from the Lakeland Center. They're getting close to the completion of the home up there in Great Neck Road, so they'll be looking to close out our funding portion of it. And we also had some good discussion about that home, was it on 19 Puritan Ave, that they sent us some information on to the whole board as an affordable unit. And, we talk about the price, it was $248,000, but it's dropping down. But it's deemed affordable, and within 90 days after they notify us, if no one's made an offer to purchase it, they can just put it on the open market with no restriction.
Well, actually, they still have to get permission from us for that.
I'm not
turned them
sure.
down.
I just,
We've turned them down plenty of times.
I think well, from my understanding, the way the deed, and from what I read from the correspondence that was sent to us, that after that 90-day period, they can get fair market value. It's almost there now. It's, one of the individuals at the meeting today said, well, that area, they can get 300,000 per home like that. And then if you look at the different realty websites, you come up with different
But we
figures.
lose the affordable unit, that's the
You
problem.
lose the affordable unit, and the bank owns it, and I don't see it as being affordable. They're saying, $1,000 a month. I mean, maybe someone could afford that, who's at the moderate income level, at the upper end of it. So, we discussed that a little bit, and we have the person, representative, tentatively coming down our meeting next month from Chapa. So it'll be good, kind of networking and getting to know them and what they can do, and so that's what's going on.
It's a great question to ask why this is happening a lot in Wareham and what they're seeing, where because we're getting a lot of these properties coming back to us saying we can't sell it as affordable, so it has to go open market and such.
We turn them down all the
Yeah.
time.
Well, some of them we can, others, the way the deed riders are written, once they've, from my understanding, once they get past that 90-day window, and they've given us an opportunity to assist and try to assist or try to find buyers for it. Now, you gotta find someone who's gonna be qualified for that purchase price.
This is just a one-bedroom, right?
One bedroom, there's two rooms in the basement which are finished but aren't
Yeah.
considered,
You can't count those rooms.
right.
Not as bedrooms,
So,
Hey, you're not allowed to count them.
yeah. It's interesting how it works where, because of the way the deed rider was written, with a multiplier back in 2005 or 6, that it's like not really affordable.
I'll tell you why it's happening, because the people that can afford affordable house, we're tied into the Boston market, so we get that Boston bump, which is a huge number. Now, if they go to Marion right next door, they're tied into New Bedford. The number's considerably less. It's probably 172,000 or 175,000, as opposed to 200.
And the individual from Chapper did mention that too, so maybe he'll discuss that
And
with
remember,
us.
we talked about trying to get out of this and move into the,
It's at a federal law.
yeah, there's nothing we could do about it. We
What?
couldn't do it, so.
It'd be nice to see
Well,
if we could get.
you can.
Sorry,
you can-
Bob, that's me.
You can petition, I believe you can petition to move, you can request to be put into the other area. I remember reading this years ago.
We actually tried it.
It takes an act of Congress, I
We
think.
tried it and they wouldn't,
Yeah, I think you
we
have
got
to petition
nowhere.
through the state. And I think, there's also, once you move from one area to another, you gain in one way, but you might lose in another way as far as grants and things, so. Huh? Go ahead, Mr. Slavin.
No, you get
Yeah.
less money.
Yeah, so it's a trade-off,
You're
I
getting
guess.
CDBG anymore.
That's all.
Okay,
Nothing's free.
thank you. Next is you.
Yeah, it's funny, we're talking about affordable housing. In response to the request for proposals that the redevelopment authority commissioned to have sent out, we've gotten 3 different proposals back. The authority's in the process of reviewing those individually. But also, we're looking for input from the people who did prepare the RFP for us, as well as Mass Housing. So we did generate a little bit of buzz, if nothing else, with that. The proposals all seem to call for at least 50 units, so it would be a pretty good, nice chunk if we can do this as a senior affordable project with that many units. So it's actually quite interesting. And of course, we should be thanking not only Director Buckland, for getting involved with this, but also the people from Mass Housing and the consultant, Jen Goldson, for putting this together, because they've done a really good job with it. We're having a meeting with them next week to go over this, and it'll be interesting to hear what sort of the the people whose job it is to do these things statewide have to say about it.
Mary? Okay, I did a bunch of things. It seems like none of them I can talk about.
What you doing to?
I met with the school department for some issues. I met with the sewer people with Bourne. I met with, actually, I was in on the COA director's interview, which was kind of interesting and kind of a nice thing to do. So I had a bunch going on, but there's really not much to say, and it'll have to come out later, in other words, so I'll have to deal with it. I am going to the drop-in center, and the police chief is going to be there, and a bunch of us are going to be there, and they're going to try to create a program that they've done in some other towns to make some of these people that OD mandatory program, put them in a mandatory program. It goes through the court, through the judge, and through the Chiefs Association, and some of these people, because, like last month, I don't know if you saw that, we had 3 deaths and 20 overdoses. And the problem is, a lot of times, it's the same person. You can have them over until they finally do themselves in. And that's just not nice, And so, and until they get into some kind of program, nothing's gonna happen. It's just not. They have no chance. No, what?
Plague on the far end.
Oh, you got the virus down there?
Yeah, now I do, thanks.
Really, there's no way, there's literally almost an impossibility for somebody to get themselves off of that. It's not, I know people think, well, just get off the drugs, whatever. And it doesn't work that way. Once you bought into that and you've got that stuff bind to the receptors in your brain, is what happens. It ain't gonna happen. You're not gonna get off without help. You can't do it. It's almost impossible. It is impossible. Ain't gonna happen. So this may go away at least try to get some more people off. And you know what? Look, if you can get one person here and there, that's great, because it's a life. So anyway, all right, next up is the consent agenda, which I believe we have nothing. That leaves us with only one thing left to do.
To adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Alan, seconded by Peter. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstaining, it's unanimous. See you next week, Wareham. Have a great week. Thanks.